Welcome to the AA Podcast, our little corner of the web where we are not afraid to discuss tough questions like,
when did nutrition, health, movement, and stress management become alternative medicine?
Where we embrace challenges in all aspects of life to become healthier and stronger versions of ourselves.
And where food and movement are the best kinds of medicine, and cooking meals at home is a revolutionary act. Welcome back to another episode of the AA Podcast. This is Ashley Olson.
And I'm Andrea Crane.
We are going to discuss today a topic that is obviously relevant because we are fast approaching some major holidays, but we are going to be talking about staying on track for the holidays. And specifically, if you are a gluten aficionado,
A gluten avoider.
yes,
A
Andrea
gluten
wanted to
abstainer.
Andrea wanted to call it something else, but I said we'd probably get canceled. So we will not be talking about that.
You could DM us though.
Yes, if you'd like to know what she wanted to, but just don't report her if you do that.
Oh,
Yeah.
because I am sassy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's all good. We're both kind of sassy.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get into that, as always, we're going to share our weekly Bible verse.
Yes, and boy, do we need it.
Yeah. So I think yours should go first.
Okay.
Yes.
I chose Corinthians 6:19 first. Shoot. Which Corinthians? I think it's first. Don't quote me, but I think it's first. Um, do you not know that your bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit who is in you, whom you have received from God? You are not your own, and the Holy Spirit don't eat no gluten. That is
That is Andrea's
that is my interpretation of this verse.
That is, and it is First
Mhm.
Corinthians.
Thank you. All right.
You're welcome. And then mine is Ephesians 5:18, which says, "Do not get drunk on wine, which leads to debauchery. Instead, be filled with the Spirit."
Yes. So if you don't feel fingers wagging in your face, I don't know what it's going to take. We did not mean to be so preachy. Good
I
heavens.
know.
I know.
No.
Anyway, we'll get over it.
Well, I wouldn't want to be filled with anything else but the Spirit. Let's just say
That's
that.
right. That's right. All right.
So, today's episode, like we said, is going to be talking about how we recommend for our clients and for ourselves staying on track for the holidays.
Yeah,
And one of
and
the big thing, go
oh,
ahead.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to throw this in there. So this is a huge topic. I know that Ashley talks about with her clients every single year, like year in, year out. She really dives deep into this with all of the people that she trains. And so she's been doing this forever. And so honestly, Ashley, I feel like most of this, I will obviously chime in because I can't help it. But when we get to the gluten-free stuff, I have a lot to say about that because that's kind of my lived experience. So yeah, you just roll, sister.
And I have to say too, if you are questionable on if gluten free can taste good, I will tell you right now, Andrea is a fabulous cook and
Uh-huh.
she makes insanely
Hmm.
good food that is gluten
Thank you.
free.
Thank you.
So,
Mhm.
if you need specific recipes, definitely DM her because I'm
Mhm.
sure she would be happy to share with you
Yes.
what she has found over the years because yes, she
Every
likes to
word of
eat
that is
as
true.
good
Mhm.
as good as I do. So, actually she
Yep.
probably eats better than I do, but we both love our
I
food. So,
yes, we do love our food.
but something I stress with my clients year round is that we need to take a step back and realize that one, two, I should have even counted how many holidays there are in the actual United States calendar.
Oh,
Okay, say there's 10. I don't know if that's right, but just say there's 10
gotta be close.
holidays, right?
Mhm.
Say there's 10 holidays. Those 10 days out of those 365 are not what is derailing your progress.
Preach.
So, my
It is not,
biggest
yes,
thing
10 days does not a blown diet make.
exactly. So, if you're stressing about a day or a weekend or even a week vacation, those are not what actually sets you up for failure. It's what you do before and after that is what sets you up for
Mhm,
success or failure, right?
mhm,
So my biggest thing with all of my clients is when we first start, I want them to figure out, okay, what are their goals? And usually it is a weight loss goal, right? But we need to dive deeper into that. And what we end up doing is figure out what some of their what I we call non-negotiables are. What are the things that you can do every day, every week that are non-negotiables for your health. And these are things that we have to practice. They're things that they don't come necessarily naturally at first. We have
mhm.
to work on them. And these are habits that are sustainable for long-term health, right? So I
Yeah, so could you give a couple of examples of what you mean by that? Like, what are some of the non-negotiables that you have or that your clients have?
so for me, it's I mean, I have a list, but some of
Yeah.
them are um okay, I'm going to get at least 3 workouts in this week.
Mm, okay.
What those
Mhm,
look like might vary because of one, I might be out on vacation
mhm,
and that may just be getting some steps in.
mhm.
It can
Yeah.
be fluid in those realms. Sleep
Mhm.
is another big one. Uh, it's very easy for me not to fall on this one because I love my sleep. But
Uh-huh.
sleep is really good. Water.
Yeah.
I'm a big proponent of water, which we have an episode
I
coming
know
up on
you are.
that too. Protein, certain
Yeah, yeah,
protein. So those are some of my big ones that come to mind is
yeah.
like, okay, those are some things that I can control in
Mhm,
most every situation. Whether
mhm.
I'm on vacation, I can go to a hotel gym that's there.
Right.
Most places have some sort of equipment and I can get, hey, a 20-minute little walk in if I'm not going to be walking much of the rest of the day. It
Mhm.
doesn't have to be, and this is a whole nother topic too, but like I don't expect full on workouts during holidays or um vacations. So when I'm talking about workouts, I'm talking about just move your body. Don't
Right.
just sit around. Like go for a walk. One of the best things that I love to do after especially Thanksgiving or a Christmas dinner is just going for a family walk. It doesn't have to be
Mhm,
strenuous. It doesn't have to be very long, but just get up and move your body. So those are some of
mhm.
the non-negotiables. But we kind of you can set those up for yourself, right? So it might be like, hey, I'm going to stick to my typical eating plan for the most of the day, but then I'm going to enjoy dinner
Mhm,
with the
mhm.
family and I'm not going to track, I'm not going to stress about anything, but the non-negotiables would be maybe the prior part of the day.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Mhm.
What would be some of your non-negotiables?
Oh, I was just thinking about that. So, well, one of my non-negotiables for about the last over a decade now is I don't eat gluten, and so um there's no wiggle room on that. It's just an absolute will not do. And also, most of the time, I I would say 98% of the time, I don't eat dessert. Um,
Mm,
Even if it's something not gluten-free, that doesn't really, I don't know, that doesn't really set me on fire. Um, I do love caramel and butterscotch. However,
oh.
those are the flavors of the gods as far as I'm concerned. So if there's a caramel or butterscotch something or other, then perhaps I will indulge, but I don't usually eat dessert. So generally that's a non-negotiable for me. And then another non-negotiable would be, um, hmm, I am trying to, you're going to find this so funny, but I am trying to drink more stupid water. So that, that is,
Andrea has rubbed
oh,
off on me so much, but I am slowly rubbing off on her on this
you're
freaking
like
water.
water on a glacier. Yes, you are
Ugh,
slowly,
yes.
slowly. Uh-huh. So, yeah, that that is I am trying to get 3 of these giant Arctic water things in a day. And usually you'll hear me
Which is about
slurping.
90 ounces,
Yeah, it is 90 ounces. Yeah.
which is very solid.
Mhm.
Very
Thank you.
solid.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Especially coming from when I first met you and you barely
Yes,
maybe
I
have
know.
drank 5 ounces. I'm not even
Okay,
exaggerating.
except that I drink a hot tub full of coffee every single blessed day, and this body is very accustomed to that. And so I just figured she could hang on to some of that water at this point in our lives. So,
Well, your face and under eyes are thanking you for the extra hydration.
well, okay. All right. Yeah.
Yes.
That and the
Okay, back on track.
mhm.
So those are some non-negotiables. So figure out what your non-negotiables are
Mhm.
and try to stick to them. Like, and when I say try, I say that because I don't expect any of my clients or myself to be 100% perfect
Mhm.
on these kinds of days or weekends where we're enjoying family. Now, does that mean that I'm going to go um I'm going to say I don't want to say a bad word. So, I'm not going to go AWOL. So I'm not gonna go AWOL on, just like, oh, I'm just gonna enjoy this weekend and be gluttonous, right? I should have
Right.
done that Bible verse. Don't be gluttonous.
Right. Right.
But I am going to not have guilt associated with it, anything that I might consider quote unquote overindulging.
Yeah.
And going on that is just because there is food in front of you does not mean that you have to eat it. Like,
That's right.
if you made a plate or if there's like a whole buffet of food in front of you that you're like, I really want to try most of this, don't get normal sized portions. Like, you don't have to have normal sized portions. You can enjoy tasting everything
Mhm.
and not have to stuff yourself to the point that you feel sick.
Yeah.
But
That's good.
also, if you don't necessarily love something that you put on your plate, you don't have to finish it. Like,
Right.
there are no rules. We're not a clean plate
Mhm.
uh rule following.
Culture. Mhm.
Yeah. And then biggest thing too is, especially when somebody might be, maybe their family or friends know that they're on a health journey, they feel already maybe like eyes are on them,
Mhm.
especially during these kind of holiday events. And so they're like, I so there's a lot more pressure maybe on
Mhm.
individuals during these times because there's this stipulation that family is going to expect them to be perfect.
Okay, so I would like to speak to this a little bit. So if you are at a family gathering, nothing bugs me more than somebody else kind of sticking their nose into what someone else is eating. That
Mhm.
drives me crazy. Keep your thoughts to yourself. If somebody's eating something and you don't think they should, you need to just cork it because they are dealing with themselves. So if you have thoughts, just take them outside and talk about it on the way home. Um, my thought is if you are struggling with this and you have family members that are going to say something, and they'll say something to the positive or to the negative, they'll be like, oh, I noticed you're not eating that. Are you on a diet? Or,
Mhm.
"Oh, are why aren't you eating this? Why aren't you trying this? Why oh, you have to try this." You know what, folks? All you have to do is tell them, "I'm gluten-free, And if I have gluten, I will have diarrhea so bad for the next 7 days that you don't wanna be around me, and people will just shut up, and they won't say anything else about it, and here's the other thing, nobody knows what's in gluten unless they have to avoid it, and so they'll never remember what you're not eating, they just know that that there's something that you can't eat, and then they will completely avoid the conversation. So I have gotten out of so many tough jams just like, sorry, gluten free, and
Yeah.
they're offering me eggnog. Sorry, gluten free. Nobody knows. Nobody, nobody knows where the gluten is. So yeah,
So if you need a little trick up your sleeve, you can use
that's
that.
right.
Even
Just
if
say
you
you're gluten
aren't
free.
gluten free.
That's right. Just tell people
Although
you're
if you're having
off.
like a yeah. But the other big thing too is like I work with my clients on being confident in their own decisions. So don't be afraid to
Mhm.
be different. It's
Yeah.
okay to be different. In fact, if we were all the same, how boring would we be?
Right.
So it's okay.
Okay.
And then obviously it kind of goes back to the non-negotiables we talked about, but plan ahead on what you can control. So for example, Christian and I are traveling back to Wichita for Thanksgiving. I know I can get a training session done Wednesday morning. Then we'll be on the road Wednesday. Thursday, probably going to be busy with cooking and helping, things like that. But we
Mhm.
typically always get out and go for a family walk. And then, especially if the weather's nice. And then Friday, I can make the decision to go to the gym and get even a quick, like I said, 30-minute lift session in, or at
Mm.
least get a walk in Friday. And then
Mhm.
the same for the rest of the days, however many days that you're going to be gone. So there's things that you can control. I can also control the meals prior to and after said family big function, right? So
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
can definitely plan my day. And how I typically tell my clients is prioritize protein, one, because it's just typically the hardest one to get in anyways. So
Mhm.
prioritizing protein, and then just kind of just kind of realize that you're probably going to have a more calorie dense meal later in the day. So don't stress about it, but just know how your day is now going to probably be not as well balanced as far as equal portions during the day, but it might just
Mm.
have a heavier load midday to late day. And
Right.
then I already said it, I think, but drink your freaking water. Not only
Okay.
does it just help you stay hydrated, but it also just helps you feel a little bit fuller. And so
Mhm.
because you probably know the science behind this, but just because your stomach growls doesn't necessarily mean it's hungry. Sometimes it's telling you that it actually needs some water or hydration.
Okay.
She
Yeah.
doesn't agree with that. I can see her
Well,
face.
okay. No, it's, the stomach growling, it's, fun fact, that is known as borborygmi. Stomach growling is, yeah, that's like a colonic or an intestinal kind of thing. Um, but I do totally agree when there is a signal that the brain interprets as I'm hungry,
Mhm.
then absolutely that can be a cry for like electrolytes or I'm thirsty.
Mhm.
Yes, absolutely. 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
We will avoid any fights.
Borborygmi. Yeah. I know. Oh, full of worthless
So,
facts.
Andrea,
Mhm, yeah.
how do you
Oh,
approach the holidays, especially being somebody that
mhm,
is gluten free? Like, I know
okay.
you do a lot of cooking typically. I think you
Mhm.
host primarily.
Yep. I host a lot of stuff at my house. And I like to feed people. That's kind of my love language. I love to take food to people. In fact, I'm buying rhubarb from a lady tonight that I've never even met before. And I was gonna take her something, but I didn't have time to make anything. So I'm taking her squash instead. So I like to bring food to people in all all forms. But if you are taking food to some event, or if you are hosting at your home, and you are gluten free, or you know that there's going to be people there who are gluten free, primarily if you're gluten free, like here's the thing: if I go to someone's home, I never expect for them to bend over backwards to try and feed me. Like
Mhm.
it's just too hard. It's just too hard because, invariably you'll have somebody like, "Oh, I can't have eggs. I can't have dairy. I can't have gluten. I can't have shellfish. I can't." Like, okay, it just gets to be too much on the host person. And so, I don't ever expect that anyone has to feed me, so therefore I take lots of good food to people's homes that I can eat. So, baking in particular, you guys can check out my reel. I have a review of some gluten-free flour on my Instagram, and where I tell you about my favorite kinds of gluten-free flour. And I'll just tell you right here, what the two kinds were. One is Better Batter, the other is Namaste. They are absolutely indistinguishable from wheat flour. Um, they measure cup for cup just like flour, so it's so easy. You don't have to modify recipes, you don't have to modify for altitude. Like it's really amazing that gluten-free flour has come so far. Now I will tell you, these flours are expensive. So the namas or the Better Batter, which is my absolute favorite, for 5 pounds of it, I think it's a 5 pound bag. Yes, 5 pounds bag of flour, which is not that much, is $42.
Mm.
Yes. So it's ridiculous. And I get that, but it's also like the very best. So if you bake like once or twice a year, I hardly ever bake. But if you bake once or twice a year, a $42 bag of Better Batter is going to last you all year long. So then if you bake a little bit more, so I'm planning on doing a little more baking this year because I'm planning, unbeknownst to my husband, I'm planning on hosting a lot of stuff in my house. So I will be baking a lot. And I I found this Namaste brand that I have heard about, and I've also tasted things made with it, and it's quite good. So
Is it spelled like namaste?
yeah, uh-huh. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay, I dated an Indian dude. It's namaste. Thank you very much.
alright.
Yeah. At least that's what he told me. I think he was trying to keep me from learning the language, to be honest.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, those are some interesting family gatherings. So namaste flour is, there's an organic kind and then there is a regular. The organic, so at Costco right now they have it on sale, and so if you are planning on baking some gluten-free stuff for the holidays, I would really strongly encourage you to get this. So they are 3 pound bags and it's a 6 pack of them. So this is 18 pounds of flour that should carry you right on through the holidays. The regular kind is $45 for this 6 pack. And then the organic, I believe, is $59. So, yeah, $59. So
And they
those
have both
those
at
two are on
Costco?
sale. Yeah. Oh, sorry guys, it's Costco online.
Oh,
Get it online. They will ship it right to your house. It gets there quick. They'll ship it for
mhm,
free. Like, yeah, Costco's amazing. So
yeah.
that's the flour that I love. Now, that said, I mean, hang on. Well, shoot. I'm flying around on these windows here. Where the heck am I? Okay. So, gluten-free rolls. So, this is another place where people really get caught up is the whole like, well, I have to serve Thanksgiving dinner, I have to serve Christmas dinner, and we need rolls. Yeah, okay. So I always will serve like I'll get rolls from a bakery or I'll get some fresh rolls from the grocery store and I will get some gluten rolls for people that can have gluten, but then I will always get myself these Brazilian rolls called Brazi bites. It's Brazi bites. Again, they're kind of expensive, but they're made with cheese. They're like Brazilian cheese bread. So
Hmm.
if you've ever gone to a Brazilian buffet, they always have these, where they or a Brazilian steakhouse, where they have the people come around with all the big hunks of meat and it's amazing. So
Mm.
this
Mm.
is the Brazilian cheese bread that they always have. So
Mm.
I always get these Brazilian rolls that aren't made with any grains at all. Now you can get gluten-free rolls. Generally, they're terrible. But I just prefer the Brazzy bites. So that's an idea for you. And then on the subject of desserts, so gluten-free, um, when we think about gluten containing things, I think most of the time we generally think of sweets. So, especially around the holidays, because certainly we could be thinking about like pastas and breads and those kinds of things. But around the holidays, primarily the gluten containing substances are going to be sweet, whether it's sweet breads, whether it's, coffee cakes or pies or anything like that. um there are lots of kind of think outside the box gluten-free desserts that are just naturally gluten-free. You don't have to add gluten-free flour. In fact, there's no flour to them. So things like Mexican chocolate cake is
Mm.
often completely gluten-free and often has like crushed hazelnuts. I mean, phenomenal. Hazelnut and chocolate, there's no better combination. Lots of custards, flan, um, oh my gosh, creme brulee, all naturally gluten-free. Chocolate, fudge, those kinds of things, all gluten-free. In fact, I have a recipe that is burning a hole on my countertop. I cannot wait to make it, but it's for a crustless pumpkin pie that I am
Mm.
trying out for my Thanksgiving group. And so I will be making it probably this week. But it's crustless, and I'm going to make it with those giant pumpkins that I grew this year. Um,
Show
so
off.
I know, right? My own pumpkins for on Crane Farm. Um, but then so here's my other appeal to people. So we've talked about the baking, we talked about the gluten containing stuff. So here is my final appeal on this topic is, why do you have to bake so much? Like, there are so many things. I know that there are stunning bakery items around the holidays, and that's super fun to make those cookies and everything with your kids and with the grandkids. But there are also some really spectacular recipes with these fall like root vegetables that are pretty fancy. There's like maple crusted things that you can make, like carrots and other root vegetables. You can do incredible things with parsnips. How about leeks and potatoes? I'm going to make a potato leek soup this week that I bet will be really good. How about a butternut soup? There's nothing better than a really well-made butternut soup. So there are vegetables that can really be the highlight of some of these meals, and let this be your excuse to kind of branch out a little bit and use some of these really cool veggies. Also, while we're talking about different things that could take the place of the focus on the bakery items, how about proteins? There are
Mhm.
glorious proteins that we can make around the holidays that we might not be able to splurge and make for other times of the year. But these things are absolute showstoppers, right? Like, think about a rack of lamb. I mean, there's nothing more festive and beautiful than that. Um, you could make a prime rib. You could have a big gorgeous ham. Um, how about just like the humble chicken, okay? So like a simple roasted chicken, like a chicken done really, really well that is roasted. Gosh, there isn't much that tastes better than that. You could even get super fancy and get some lobster. And then I've kind of saved the my fave for last, turkey. Turkey can be either really poorly done or really well done. And I found the bomb end all recipe. I will never make turkey another way. I found it last year. There were people at my table that know really fine food, and I heard comments like, "This is the best turkey I have ever had." So, I'm going to share this recipe with you. If any of you are familiar with Chris Kimball's show, America's Test Kitchen, this man is my hero. I love him. He has several shows on PBS. And America's Test Kitchen came up with a way to make turkey, to roast turkey that will just blow you away. So I put that link up. It is not hard. It uses a pizza stone. So if you don't have a
Mm.
pizza stone, you're not going to be able to do this. But if you do have a pizza stone, then you can make this turkey recipe and it is phenomenal.
Might have to send it to in-laws.
Oh, you most definitely should. Yes.
All right. Marcia, if you're listening,
I know. Hey,
it's headed your
Marcia.
way.
Sorry, Marcia.
Yeah. And I was gonna say too on the desserts, something that when we were doing keto, if you look up keto desserts, they're using like almond flours and
Oh, yeah.
coconut flours. So those are some other gluten-free options
Sure.
too.
Just make sure that you understand there is a whole lot of chemistry that goes into using specific types of flour. So there's tapioca flour, there's almond flour, there's coconut flour, there's rice flour, brown rice flour, all of these different kinds of grains and things that are turned into flours. Make sure that you understand they do not take the place of wheat flour. They can't.
No,
Unless you have a tried and true recipe. Otherwise, if you want to use just a regular old recipe that calls for wheat flour, you're going to have to get one of the flours that I mentioned earlier, which measure cup for cup like real flour.
for sure. One of our favorites was like a blueberry custard, and it was so freaking simple.
Mm.
I think it
Ooh.
used both coconut and almond, and it was very good. So,
Oh, that sounds great.
um, but yeah, these are really good options. So I'm more of a
Nice.
savory person, so, like, I don't
Mhm.
need desserts typically. In fact, I typically don't like them unless there's, like, a really good cookie or something, but, yeah, I like doing the savory foods, like a good mashed potato or sweet
Mm.
potato.
Yeah.
I'm not a big sweet potato casserole where it's, like, brown sugar on top, I don't like those, but
Okay, now I will bathe in that. Yes.
ugh,
Mhm.
no, it's not my
Mhm.
favorite.
Oh, you
And
have not had
green
mine.
beans, ugh, pass.
Ashley, Ashley.
Yeah,
Okay, okay. Well, we're not
I
gonna
know.
solve that in one episode.
So I think that wraps this up, right?
That wraps.
That wraps. So hopefully you found some little nuggets that you can take with you when you're planning your holiday season, which is literally just a couple weeks away, which is insane.
It
Oh,
is.
well, it's a couple weeks away when this is being recorded.
Mhm.
We'll probably drop this in the week before Thanksgiving. Um, but yeah, it's right around the corner. Be prepared. have a plan is my
Mhm.
biggest thing. Even if it's a loose plan, like even if it's just like a loose outline, have some
Mhm.
type of outline that you can confidently go into situations with. That'll make you so much more confident and
Yeah.
just better prepared. So, if you
Good call.
want any of these recipes or the getting the gluten-free flour that Andrea mentioned, definitely check out her reel on Instagram. Her handle is linked in the show notes, and we will also link this amazing turkey that you
Mhm.
so are fond of. So,
In fact,
yeah.
I okay, I couldn't find I'm so stupid on YouTube. I could not find, the video, but I knew it was on YouTube, and I finally found it, and lo and behold, I had saved it, but I could not find my saved videos on YouTube. This YouTube is for people under 20, I think, because I now saved it twice, so
That's
that's how
awesome.
good it is. Mhm.
And it looks like when you click on the link in their show notes on the video, it takes you to America's Test Kitchen, and it looks like you have
Oh,
a
good.
free 14-day recipe unlock. So it looks like it's a subscription based website, but you can get it for
Oh.
14 days. But so
No,
just
you should definitely be able to access the recipe for free on YouTube.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay, okay, good.
Yeah, it's
So,
a
yeah,
video recipe, but if you want
yeah.
the written out recipe,
Oh, you don't need the written
it's
out. Don't pay for that. No, don't
no,
do
no,
that.
no, you don't have to.
I know,
You
but
don't
people
have to. You
forget.
have okay.
People forget.
It's just an email. It's not asking for any
Okay,
credit card information. So
okay.
anyway,
Alright.
so go check that out, and we will check you or see you on the next episode.
Bye. The content provided in the AA podcast is intended for informational and educational purposes only. The podcast is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. The information and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of the individuals involved and do not constitute medical advice.